Hello and welcome to this edition of You Can Get There From Here. I'm Dr. Joe Moore, Chair of the Department of Communication and Digital Media Production at the University of Central Missouri, and it's my pleasure every week to get to sit down and visit with some of our alumni. I talk to those who got their degrees in communication studies, others who got their diploma in digital media production, and some who finished with their master's degree. Today, I get to interview not just a former student, but a very dear friend. Shelby Davis. Shelby went to school with and graduated with my daughter, so I've known Shelby for a long time between school, between play dates, between Sunday school. And Shelby, it is great to have you on today. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I've
Great.
really enjoyed watching your progress post-graduation and seeing you grow up. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
So let's talk about, I kind of gave away a little bit about your background, where you're from, but why don't you tell the story of Shelby Davis, where you're from, where you went to school, what led you to UCM, and then what led you into communication studies?
I am from Warrensburg. My family ended up here because my dad was Air Force and got stationed at Whiteman and then just retired here. So I grew up going through the whole Warrensburg school system, and I chose to go to UCM mostly because my mom works there as well, and I wanted to be close to home and also get that tuition discount. So that's what made me choose that. I actually was undeclared at first. I wasn't sure what major I wanted to do. I just knew I didn't want to do something really math or science heavy, but that was about it. And then I went through the class at UCM to kind of figure out, and communication seemed the best fit for me. Especially, I had always done English and language classes throughout school, literature, everything. So it just kind of fit in really well there. And then I went to grad school at Maryville University in St. Louis and got another communication degree, just with a bit of a longer title.
So did you go through was it called the Open Options program when you did it
I
here at
think
UCM?
so. Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you were not sure really what you wanted to do, but you did that.
Hmm.
And then was it the fact that really communication studies opens up a whole lot of options? There's a whole lot of things you can do with that, right?
It does, yeah. I think one thing I knew communication, I mean, you can kind of figure you'll be doing a lot of public speaking. I was already pretty comfortable with that as well from debate and stuff in high school. And I think it does just open a lot of doors. I was generally leaning towards kind of a PR or marketing side of things, not like the numbers marketing, but more the creative side of marketing and things like that. And then I currently work at a university as well, so just kind of leaning back into that university life. It's also very helpful there just for speaking with students and colleagues too.
Yeah, yeah. Talk about that a little bit more because since you graduated, like you said, you went to Maryville and got your
Mhm.
master's degree. You've worked in marketing and sales a little bit. You've been a Spanish tutor. I didn't realize
Yes.
that. I forgot that you'd minored in Spanish.
Yes.
And now you're at KU and you're working there.
Mhm.
Talk a little bit about all the different things that you learn in communication and how in each of those stops it's played a benefit for you.
Sure. I think generally, I mean, college is just a great transition between kind of the real world and school, just to allow you to speak with new people and kind of open up some experience there. But the program specifically helped me to, I think, exercise and expand my critical thinking skills and kind of gave me a taste of communicating in a professional setting as well, just from various classes and the capstone, of course, where you have to give a presentation to just a general audience that's not necessarily affiliated with the school. Communication classes in general, I think they just require a lot of analysis and writing that sort of force you to think critically because you're having to come up with original ideas and just analyses of communication theories and different things like that that maybe you wouldn't have had exposure to previously. And then I think being able to critically think can also kind of lead to innovation just in your own mind, just creating your own ideas. But especially at work, there's not always something going wrong, but if there does something that goes wrong, you can't just not work that day. You have to come up with a solution to kind of go around it. And I think I do a good job of that. I think my team's really good at that as well, just kind of being able to make workarounds and work with what we have versus just like, okay, we're not going to do this today because this thing is not working. And then I think speaking a lot in classes, kind of like I said, also just helps me talk to students with a little more poise and confidence. There's still a lot I don't know. Universities are huge, and I just work in academic success and mostly help our transfer students. I kind of relate it to an airport almost. Like you always have to talk to somebody different for different departments because there's just so many different things. But I'm very comfortable saying, I don't know, but I'll get back to you and things like that. And I think it's kind of just helped me overall to be okay living in that kind of uncomfortable space because there is so much to a school that you just can't answer at once.
So, yeah, let's talk about what you're doing now. You're an academic success navigator
Yes.
at KU. I love that
Hmm.
title, navigator.
I
And
know,
you
it's so funny.
isn't that cool? And
Yeah.
when you talked about, yeah, you just likened it to being at an airport. When
Yeah.
you said you would be on the show, you gave me a little bit of information about what you're doing. You said you're
Mhm.
a part of onboarding the
Yes.
transfer students. That
Hmm.
airplane metaphor really, or airport metaphor really works really, really well. But what
Yeah.
all are you involved in? I think a lot, our current students probably have an idea because of our academic success advisors.
Sure.
It sounds like the same sort of thing to me, but kind of talk about what you do.
Yeah, it's similar. I am very closely related to the advisors. We do a lot with them, and I mostly work remotely, actually, which is super nice. But in-person days, we go and all of academic successes there. But I mostly, in my office, we kind of do a few different things. My little subsection, yes, is working with transfer students. I think we're kind of like their first point of contact for the university. So we're going to call them right when they're admitted. We help them get set up with their school accounts if they need help with that. Just go over resources at the university. So, some of the main platforms and websites that they can kind of use, and then get them set up with more enrollment steps. So, their orientation, their academic advising, things like that. And we also get just kind of a lot of random questions. We're kind of that filter to the university, kind of one of those departments where if somebody doesn't know where to go, they send them to us. So I think we're really good about follow through and everything. We can always seem to find the answer, even if it takes us a little bit. But yes, I mostly would do transfer students. And once in a while, we'll do call campaigns and help with other departments, like, calling with financial aid about payment plans or things like that.
So I know for me, my entire professional career, from the time I graduated college till today,
Mhm.
I've spent 8 months not working on a university campus. Do you see that as your future? I love the environment of a college
Yes.
campus.
Mhm.
Is that what you're seeing for your future, or just the sky's the limit?
I'm a little half and half right now. I do love the school setting. I always really enjoyed school. And so just going back into a school setting again after graduate school felt pretty natural as well. And then, as I mentioned, my mom works at the university. So I'm pretty used to kind of university life in that sense. So I did find the academic success position fairly fitting for me after graduate school and everything. I would like to, I think, advance a little bit in the university system. Not sure exactly to where yet, but I still have a little bit of that kind of PR, marketing, maybe some other like strategic communication um, planners or whatever the exact name for it is there. But I do really enjoy the academia setting.
Okay, well, I'll keep that in mind. If we have an opening in IMC here at the university, we'll have to get you back home.
I am in Warrensburg quite a bit still as well. I kind of bounce back and forth between Kansas City and West Virginia, actually, right now. And
West Virginia,
Warrensburg.
how come?
My boyfriend is here getting his PhD.
Oh, okay. Well, that will do it.
Yep, yep. And with the remote, he can work remote as well since it's a PhD program and I can work remote. So we kind of go back and forth when we can see each other there. And then our
Nice.
parents all live in Warrensburg. So we just kind of go back once in a while, but I feel like I'm there quite a bit still.
Excellent. So the university has adopted a new slogan,
Mhm.
redefining what's possible. What does that mean to Shelby Davis?
Hmm. I think really, I mean, w one thing I've noticed in, well, just being in school and then working in one is they're always expanding. Universities are always expanding, trying to figure out new programs, new ways to format programs to make them more flexible for students, adding classes, adding programs I didn't even know were actual majors and things like that. So I think in my mind, it's just an expansion thing. Like they are just going to keep the redefining what's possible is just pushing those boundaries and trying to make just more resources and programs and everything to help the students out.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, universities were always trying to stay up with the trends, and
I know,
you
it's
know,
so
we
hard too with the tech and everything.
right, right, and we don't you don't want to just follow the trends because then you have to constantly be cutting programs and starting programs, and we don't want to do that. But
Hmm.
if we can adapt what we're teaching, like
Yeah,
right now, we're social media and whatever in our area, social media and AI and
I know. The
augmented
AI.
reality, virtual reality, all those things, trying to keep up with that. But we
Hmm.
need to because
Yes,
that potentially is where the jobs are, and we need to be having students portray
right.
or trained up for those types of positions. So that's
And I
good.
think I get a lot of it as well because I work for not KU in Lawrence technically, but our KU Edwards campus, which is in Overland Park, Kansas, and that is our degree completion school. So that is where we have professional students go. We mostly have nighttime classes and everything there. So super flexible campus. And of course, they're having to adapt because a lot of people are going back to school with families with full-time jobs and they can't just do that typical, you know, 8 a.m. in middle of
Oh
the
yeah,
day
yeah,
classes and things like that. So they are working on that quite a bit as well, and we always get program updates.
yeah. That we're experiencing that too, and trying to meet that demand as well. Okay, Shelby, before I let you go, I have one final question for you in two parts. First of all, what would you say to a current UCM student in communication who's looking to finish their degree and then what's next? And then not to cause any conflict or anything. I know you work for a university too, but what would you say to a student who's thinking about UCM to study communication?
Current students, a little bit of a cliche, but definitely don't be afraid to ask questions. That's one thing in the workplace that is still super prevalent. Constantly having, especially with the university, again, constantly having to ask questions to figure out exactly what's going on. And sometimes it can be a little difficult in college just based on the class you're in or what you're majoring in, especially. Particularly coming from Warrensburg, we had kind of a medium-sized class, but I was used to the people I was around because they were there for years and years and years. So it can be a little intimidating in a class setting where you don't know anybody, especially one like communication where you're talking all the time and sharing your ideas and everything all the time. For potential students, I think one of my favorite parts of the program, I mean, besides just the materials itself, because of course that's what I chose to major in, I enjoyed
Sure.
it, but I really liked our team of professors. I never had Joe, unfortunately, of course, like the one professor I didn't have out of the whole communication, but all of the professors, I mean, they had lots of experience and they were really knowledgeable about everything they taught in. And I mean, of course, they've worked together, I'm sure, for a few years and everything, but just kind of had a good cohesion, but also just independent classes. So everything sort of related together, but it was all a little bit different. You still got a taste of kind of all the different facets of communication that you could deal with. And yeah, I just like the professors overall. It was kind of a small enough program that you sort of knew everybody, but still big enough that you didn't know everybody still,
Yeah,
kind of that in between there.
yeah. Well, Shelby, thank you for being on today. You're doing some great work. It's been, like I said, it's been such a joy for me to see you grow from that little girl in pigtails playing with Gabby to the professional you are today. I'm very proud of you,
Thank
and
you.
I'm just excited to see where the future takes you.
Yes, thank you very much for having me.
And thanks all of you for tuning in today. Remember, you can catch every episode on our YouTube channel through the UCM Media Network. That's youtube.com/UCMMN. You can also listen on Spotify. Special thanks to Jake Mager for creating our theme music for us. As a reminder, this is Joe Moore telling you, you can get there from here. Have a great day.